Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Celtum brace potelebea, il sepoltera gloire, con Israel une epopea, et plus brillante exploit. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for
Tansei Nasikasun Damaris Moonwalker, on behalf of Ross Shepherd High School, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting grounds, gathering place, and traveling route to the Cree, the Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and the Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all of the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries.
Greetings, Ross Shepherd students, families, and honored guests. Last year's speech started with a message to the grads of 2020 who would be recognized as a class that had to endure an unprecedented year and that they would go down as one of the greatest classes for their resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a new champion in the books, and what the grad class of 2021 has had to deal with far exceeds anything I've ever experienced before. As a first-year principal at Ross Shepherd High School, I don't have the words to tell you what a year this has been, as there's nothing I could have predicted that might have come true. Every day was a learning lesson for us. We were the first school that had COVID in Edmonton Public School Board. I asked myself, how could we be the first out of 214 schools? And then we're the second. What are the odds? Sheesh. Then November hits, and I'm the first principal with COVID. This year, we ask you to jump on a roller coaster ride of in-school, online learning, isolations, protocols, restrictions, and much more. Just to be clear, there was no rule book. There was no manual that came with this. And I feel like we certainly made it up along the way to ensure our safety and level of comfortability in the school or online was met. I can say one thing without a shadow of a doubt, and that is we weren't perfect. We made many mistakes together, but we learned lots and we did it together. What I learned this year was that we didn't fail at anything, rather we just found numerous of ways that didn't work. Nevertheless, it was a work in progress from day one. I also think that your ability to flex and show resilience was second to none. Many people outside the school would ask me how our school was so calm. I attribute that to our incredible community for their compassion, support, and understanding. COVID is not the only issue we have seen come to the forefront this past year when thinking about our page in history. We've been a part of social injustice, bringing the issues of discrimination and prejudicial challenges to the forefront. Economical impact that will take years to overcome, and many more situations to deal with. I would have to look very hard for any graduating class to have experienced more about life than you fine folks. What did you learn about yourself this year, grade 12s? How about I share my observation with you? You became far more resilient with life's succession just around the corner. You have developed more character in 1 year than a lifetime in a sense of normalcy. You've learned the value of empathy and support for one another. You've figured out better ways to navigate and solve problems. Arguably, my only downfall that I felt this year with this grad class is I didn't get to know each and every one of you, as our 1 year together was such a roller coaster ride, to say the least. What I have appreciated about you the most is your glaring leadership skills in the school and how you carried yourself as individuals and also on a collective front. Ross Shepherd High School is one of those flagship schools that has a bit of a shine to it when you tell people that you graduated from Shep. I've been to many schools and the vibe here, second to none. Something to love here is the strength in our people and the diversity that this building offers. As a school that can be labeled as an urban educational institution, it is easy to state there's a bit of a prestige and glamour that comes with that. This has nothing to do with being better than anyone, but more about the fact that you've completed your journey in a respected, appreciated, and well-known high school from Edmonton, Alberta, which is known nationwide. Life's pursuits are now ready for you. An incredible accomplishment to date, which is a pinnacle event in your life. Anatole France was a French poet, journalist, and novelist with several bestsellers. Ironic and skeptical, he was considered in his day the ideal Frenchman of letters. He was a member of the Académie Française and won the 1921 Nobel Prize in Literature in recognition of his brilliant literary achievements, characterized as they are by a nobility of style, a profound human sympathy, grace, and a true Gaelic temperament. He stated, "To accomplish great things, we must not only act, but also dream. We must not only plan, but also believe." I have most certainly been the recipient of witnessing how this grad class acted and became visionaries. From my brief experience with you this year, I need to tell you how confident I am in your abilities. Now it's time for you to believe in yourself, because you're ready for the next chapter in your book. Congratulations, graduands, as you are now becoming graduates. Your success comes in life experiences, and it's not about the competition, as it is more about the journey and the lessons learned along the way. I have you to thank from the bottom of my heart. You let me in the front doors and treated me with great respect, to which I am indebted and in awe of your character and your citizenship. It was I that was the new kid on the block, and the grade 12 class took me in and showed me the Shep way. Much respect right back at you, and may you continue to do what you do best, because I'm certain our world is a better place with you taking the reins. And remember, when you have fantastic students, an outstanding staff, you have a great school, and that's because we are Shep. Thank you, Shep.
To the graduating class of 2021, you made it! Congratulations! You've worked incredibly hard for this. And you've done it in a year that's presented extra challenges like we've never seen at Edmonton Public Schools. And to me, that deserves an extra congratulations. Graduation is a ritual, and it's one that deserves a big celebration. If we were together right now, I'd be talking to you from a stage in a room filled to the rafters with your supporters. All those people are still here, celebrating with you. As you're watching this, I hope you can feel the proud eyes and hearts of your supporters, your teachers, your friends, your family, and even the Board of Trustees. We're cheering you on with extra gusto because you've done something incredibly huge and incredibly hard. You are graduating in 2021, and I think that's its own badge of honor. You'll have unique and important perspectives to share with this world, things that will shape our world. And when I think about that, I'm incredibly hopeful. Congratulations to every one of you, the Ross Shepherd class of 2021. I know you'll be bringing new things to this world of ours, and I can't wait to find out all about them.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hoffman, and I'm the MLA for Edmonton-Glenora and the Education Critic for the NDP. And on behalf of Rachel Notley and myself, I want to say a huge congratulations to the graduating class of 2021. You've been through a lot this year. More than your parents imagined when they signed you up for high school, and more than the staff here could have anticipated. You've transitioned between in-person and online, and some of you have been online the whole year. And it has presented a number of challenges, but you've adapted. When I look at resumes in the future of students that I know finished high school this year, I'm going to think about how determined you are, how resilient you were, how flexible you were, and that you persevered. I hope you take a lot of pride in what you've been able to accomplish during such a major global pandemic. And I also hope that you take some time to celebrate and have fun with your friends and your family, and take a few moments to also recognize the staff members here at RSHS or at other schools who helped you along the way. Everyone's so proud to be part of your educational journey and to see what you achieve in the future. So congratulations to the class of 2021.
Greetings, greatest students, staff, and parents in the whole wide world. My name is Ahmed Ziad Hamar, and I am happy to be this year's valedictorian. Today is any day of the week you happen to be watching this on, and I hope this video is not buffering for you right now. I welcome everyone tuning in to this monumental occasion. I think this is the first time in decades that a graduating class is correct in saying that their year is the most unexpected year yet. I don't think any of us could have predicted how our grade 12 year would look like when we first started high school. The world has changed so much in such a short period of time, and I know how difficult it has been. But I have witnessed the ability for us to work together in spite of the pandemic. It reminds me of how every morning before my math class, the desks would be sprayed with disinfectant. Do you remember the sticky desks? And my teacher, Mr. Garkey, would wipe the desks dry for us every single day. Sometimes, if one of my classmates came early to class, they would help him dry a desk or two. But by the end of the quarter, anyone who was there would help dry the 30-something desks together. There was nothing to gain from helping out, and it was never required nor expected. Yet, we were able to come together in a time where social interaction has been limited. Even if the pandemic forced us apart, in a way, it ultimately brought us closer than before. And despite all the challenges we faced, I have kept great expectations for the future. I am sure that we will all be able to enjoy life like it was in 2019 very soon. The world has vastly more knowledge on disease and pandemics than before, and the advancements in science and medicine have been incredible. While there are more global issues waiting to be solved, I believe that every single person watching this now can and will contribute to that effort. In fact, we have all played a part during this pandemic, so in a way, we are all some sort of humanitarian. Whether you helped clean and sanitize or just wore a mask, you are a part of history. This year is one that I do not think we will ever forget. Make sure to tell your future kids about it, the same way my father told me that he walked uphill both ways to school. Now, I know we have all been asked countless times this year by our parents and relatives on what our plans are for the years after high school. It's interesting that we are tasked with deciding on what we want to do for the rest of our working life at the age of 17. I can barely decide on what I want to eat tonight, but as long as you're striving to make a positive impact on yourself and the people around you, that is success. And if at the end of your life, you can say that the world benefited from you being born, that far exceeds any perceived shortcomings you may have of yourself. Regardless of the career you choose or the path you take, everyone has the ability to leave their fingerprint on the world. Finally, I would like to acknowledge the people who made all this possible. First, I would like to thank my parents and my family for making me the person I am today. Thank you to all the families. Your contributions cannot be described in words. I would also like to thank all the teachers, staff, and administration at SHEP for pushing us all to achieve and succeed in all our endeavors. They are the ones who made this year what it is today, and their perseverance cannot be understated. I would like to thank the grad committee for what they were able to pull off in such short notice. It's really incredible. And finally, I would like to thank my fellow classmates and graduates for staying resilient day in and day out. I especially appreciate the attitude and consistency you all brought that made this year the best it could have ever been. Please celebrate with your family, and congratulations to the graduating class of 2021.
Welcome grads, parents, staff, and esteemed guests. We are overjoyed to be this year's class historians. In a year like this, I'm sure you are all wondering what this year's speech would be like. Up until yesterday, me and Hannah were wondering the same thing.
We are so honored to represent the school and be part of such a historic class, and we will try not to let you down.
We were struggling trying to figure out how to tell you who we are. We decided the best way to do this would be to introduce each other, and then I realized you are all going to see me through Hannah's eyes. This is going to be fun. The first time I met Hannah was in grade 10, which seems like such a long time ago. I didn't know what to think. Here's a girl who is so passionate about so many things. I can say for certain, if she sets her mind to something, watch out. Anyone who knows Hannah will tell you she is a very loyal friend. Just ask her best friends, Miss Vanderhout and Mr. Sidarley. Our friendship was formed by creating a new bond in grade 10, much like many of the friendships we have built as a class together. It is amazing how quickly people get to know each other in grade 10, and how these connections can turn into lifelong friendships. Part of this is because SHEP is a place where people felt comfortable to open up to one another, resulting in the strong friendships we continue to value today.
When I first met Nikhil, I did not think we would become friends. We don't really have the same interests, and I wasn't sure if it was funny or irritating that he has to have the last word in every conversation. Most of us didn't know how to approach new friendships in high school because it felt as though we were still glued to our old friends in junior high. All of us took a leap of faith when meeting new people, and I know I certainly did when meeting Nikhil. We can all agree that those leaps of faith were for the better.
And I am Hamza, also known as Lior Aviv. I came from Westmount Junior High and have enjoyed my time at SHEP, getting to know Hannah and Nikhil and meeting new friends over the past 3 years.
Now that you know a little bit about us, let's go back in time to 2018, the start of grade 10.
The 2018-2019 school year was the only year we had without quarantining. Because we weren't worried about the pandemic, we were able to enjoy the best that Ross Shepherd High School has to offer, such as totem hoop, the rugby tournament, the bikeathon, and many field trips within the school environment. No masks had to be worn and no one had to sanitize before entering the school. Everyone was having fun with their lives while participating in their education. Connect Crew leaders were ready to welcome new students to SHEP on day one, and I remember that we still had to live in the portables as the school construction was still ongoing. There would be a sign on our way to school placed on school grounds that says Modernizing Ross Shepherd, reminding us that there is construction going on. Even then, our class showed resilience and were ready to take on the challenges that were put before us. We were ready to learn and have fun even if the school was turned upside down. That sign would be gone once construction and modernization of the school is completed, and you would still be hearing the distracting noises of construction in your classes. You may think you are going to panic if one of the pieces of equipment accidentally hit your class or something falls from the ceiling. It goes without saying that living through the renovation was definitely an adventure, and it brought our graduating class and the SHEP community together.
Grade 10 was the one year where we were all in the same boat no matter what. Everyone had no idea what to expect, outside from cheesy high school movies. All of us were little nervous wrecks who didn't know how to fit in, let alone start to actually focus on school. We were all once young students on the first day of school, sweating and hesitant to answer any questions teachers would ask.
On any given day, you could find pretty much anyone at Westmount for lunch. This was an amazing way for all of us to meet our fellow classmates and witness the great entertainment of students attempting to claim their territory and eating the one and only Antonio's Pizza.
We were unaware of the big changes that were to come, like Mr. Feldman playing Old Town Road in nearly every grade 10 phys ed class, which had us begging for the clock to tick a little faster.
Or do you remember the feeling all the boys had entering the locker room prior to that first gym class? Or as it was referred to, the Wild West? At the start of high school, everyone had high expectations for themselves. The sky truly was the limit. I remember gathering in the South Gym for orientation and reading the words Class of 2021 on the back of my double blue t-shirt. This seemed like it was an eternity away. Time flies. In a big school like Shep, I thought it was going to be easy to get lost, but the kids surrounding me proved me wrong. Everyone was willing to help. Coming from a small junior high, I found myself lost at a big school like Shep, looking for more classes than I'm proud of. But I found that the older students would always be willing to help and would not hesitate in sharing their opinions on your teachers.
All of the grade 12s compared to us seemed older and more mature. It really seemed like their lives were so put together. Now that we are those grade 12s, it is obvious they were also unaware of what they were doing. Because the truth is, it is not as simple as it seemed in grade 10.
That's right, fake it till you make it.
By the end of grade 12, we all had this sorted out and understood the rules of the game.
Speaking of games, I have been thinking about the fun activities from 2018 that we have missed this year. Whether it be beating JP in football, hearing the roaring crowd at Totem Hoop, or remembering all the sleep we missed at Bikeathon. We had so many opportunities to enjoy the excitement and spirit of Shep. Even if during all this fun, classes fell on the back burner, those truly were the good old days.
Little did we know, grade 11 would hit us all like never before. Classes were way harder and teachers had higher expectations. It felt like real school, not fun school anymore. With this in mind, I would ask the question, if you never cried in high school, did you really experience high school? Going into grade 11, Nikhil and I had 2 classes together, English and Sports Med, only one of which he finished. I can assume that most of us felt like dropping out of at least one class in grade 11.
Wow, Hannah really just has the best sense of humor. I'm sure none of you are wondering why I dropped that class. The first semester of grade 11 was the busiest I've ever been in my life. We were all 1 year older and had a better understanding of how high school worked. The world was our oyster, and we knew the school better than the incoming grade 10s, yet we did not have the pressures of going into the real world that the grade 12s were experiencing before our eyes. Life was good. Whether you were drowning in schoolwork, exhausted from your extracurriculars, or a little bit of both. And of course, some extracurriculars were more tiring than others. Everyone had something going on at the beginning of this year.
We can all agree that we really had to get ourselves together in grade 11, and there was not as much time to fool around. Whether that be not showing up to classes to study, or going to Mr. Sadarli's room and wreaking havoc, those times were slowly slipping away.
Friday, March 13th. This was our last day of normal school. We were told we were going home for 2 weeks because of this new virus called the coronavirus.
The start of quarantine had just happened, and we can all agree that was a whole era in itself. Literally everything you would do or try out would be because of TikTok. Whether that be Netflix recommendations, 1-minute crafts, or whipped coffee, we all tried something new from this app. Let's not forget the copious amounts of TV we all watched. Whether that be binging Tiger King, watching the newest Love reality TV show, or watching The Office for the 13th time, we were all glued to our screens.
We did not come back to school last year before the end, and some of us had hoped we would be able to return in late April, May, or maybe even sooner than that. But when the government reaffirmed during the first iteration of the relaunch plan, it was 100% confirmed that we were going to be back. Schools in Denmark, Finland, Israel, South Africa, and a few other jurisdictions also reopened schools before the end. By the end of grade 11, we heard that Mr. Polich would be retiring, and we also heard the announcement that when we returned in the fall, that one of my good friends, Mr. Rick Stanley, would take over the helm, and with Mr. Stanley came with a bunch of other new teachers and admin who are now part of the Shep family too. The school continues to change, but even with the changes, the place that Shep is the glue that holds it all together.
Grade 12. Can you believe that we made it?
As Drake said, started from the bottom, now we're here.
I know that might sound so cheesy, but with this year that we've had, it's hard to believe that we could do it. Through all the hardships, I feel that our graduating class is closer than we have ever been. We had a year and a half of normal high school, and the rest was utter chaos. Because of that, we have all come together in kindness and in true Shep spirit to show the resilience we have when faced with adversity.
Before I knew it, I was seeing nervous grade 10s looking lost, and I found myself as the helpful grade 12, most of the time at least. You are a product of where you come from, and Shep has taught us all about the value of respect and how much a helping hand can mean. In grade 10, I had envisioned my senior year going a little differently than it did. For one, I didn't expect to spend as much time in my basement as I did. I also didn't envision taking class from bed and listening to a talking voice from my computer.
We can all attest that we told our teachers that we were not on our phones asking each other for help, when in reality, the lines were getting a little blurry.
All of us found ourselves with an abundance of alone time, and we were forced to spend a lot of time getting to know ourselves in a year where we expected to do much of the opposite. I started to eat more than I had before in my life, and I mastered the art of relaxation. Throughout this year, I found myself asking questions like, why us? And thinking our circumstances were so unfair. Without COVID, I would not be the same person I am today, for better or for worse. We have all been forced to learn what makes us tick and the things that are most important to us in our lives.
We were exhausted from the physical and mental isolation going on, and our class ultimately found a way to bring positivity back into the school. For example, I never thought I would be so happy to wake up and go to school in the morning. Seeing familiar faces again was a breath of fresh air, and at the same time, we all have become kinder people. I would see more and more of us willing to help someone if they looked upset or dropped something in the hallway. I witnessed a lot more people waving to one another around the school. The things we did not value in the past, like having a teacher to help you right away or being able to actually talk to people in class, we were so much more appreciative of. We all talked to each other whether we were close or not, and started to gain connections with more and more people. We broke out of our shells this year, and it helped to regain our sense of community within our grade.
In the past few months, I've reconnected with people I haven't really talked to since grade 10. It is amazing how much you can appreciate seeing other people when you have been locked up in your house for a year. You can only watch so much Netflix after all. The things we once took for granted, we now look forward to. We are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and it has changed us all. Everyone is reconnecting and stepping out of their comfort zones. This, connected with the situations we used to take for granted, shows us all that we are growing up. We are graduating into an unpredictable world full of challenges. As all of us leave home and become functioning members of society, the reins of the world will be passed into our hands, whether we are ready or not. We must use our imaginations and creativity to find solutions and improve the planet for generations to come. It is our responsibility to bring our newfound passion and understanding of the value of connection into the world and create change.
We've accepted the challenges of this year, and we have really stepped away from the digital world we live in. This year taught us the importance of being present without the screens we so often hold between us. It is a much different feeling sitting in a classroom than facing your computer screen home alone. We took it for granted coming to school every day, and now we realize the importance of what can be learned together in a classroom.
We all owe a great debt of gratitude to the people who carried us to this point. And on behalf of the class of 2021, I would like to thank the parents, guardians, and people who helped us along the way. Thank you for supporting us throughout high school and picking us up when we were down. We owe you the world for getting us to this point. Now it is time for us to use the lessons you've taught us. As much as it may scare you, it is our time to go off into the world and make our mark. But keep your phones on, because we are going to need some help along the way. And who better to call than the people who have been angrily waking us up for the past 18 years. On behalf of all my fellow graduates, thank you for always being in our corner, and we will make you proud.
I would also like to thank all the teachers and educational assistants and our Shep family that keeps the school clean and running smoothly. On behalf of our class, for guiding us to be better people and having faith in each and every one of us. Thank you for being realistic with us, putting up with us, and giving us the feedback we deserved so that we could do better. I hope you are all aware of the amazing impact you have had on our high school experience.
And I want to thank the entire We Are Shep community, and I want to express our appreciation to our principal, Mr. Rick Stanley, and the entire admin team for their help and leadership.
Now what? It is our time to become the thing we have been preparing for our whole life, adults. Although our lives will be taking different paths as we move on from high school, we will all still be connected by one thing. Once a T-bird, always a T-bird.
Each of us will experience different challenges along those paths, but our time at SHEP has prepared us to take on the world.
I would like to leave you with some words a wise man once said. If better is possible, good is not enough.
And that's when you have fantastic students
And outstanding staff,
You're going to have a great school.
and
that's because we are SHEP!